They come into the quarterfinals unseeded. Last week, Colgate upset number 5 seeded James Madison with a strong ground game, while Sam Houston State, behind their dual threat quarterbacks, beat undefeated McNeese State. The Raiders, winners of 7 straight. The Bearcats, with their 5th straight playoff appearance in the battle of the unseeded. Next. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. From an amped-up Bauer Stadium, Huntsville, Texas, national quarterfinal game. The Raiders from Colgate take on the Bearcats of Sam Houston State. And we know this much: the winner of this game headed to Jacksonville, Alabama after last night. JS State won easily 58-38 behind 400 rushing yards from a quarterback and a running back. The weather is a concern today. A front is coming in. Will it affect the game, and how quickly will that effect take place? Greetings, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you're watching. Jim Barber and Forrest Conley, who started Florida State. This game was supposed to have been played at 7 o'clock Central Time of the evening Saturday night. Moved to 11 o'clock because of some severe weather threats. You're a ball player. Now you're not playing at night. You're playing earlier in the day with an earlier wake-up call. Do you like it?
Well, for a ball player, there's a lot of anxiety when you have to wait till the evening to play. So for both of these ball clubs, they enjoy the fact that they get to get out here and get after it.
Colgate hopes to have an early wake-up call from its starting quarterback today in Jake Melville, and he is the type of guy that can control the game.
Well, you talk about Jake Melville, his ability to run the football makes him a big-time dual threat, and Sam Houston will have to pack the box and rely on their defensive backs to cover on the outside.
Now, the Raiders will have these two guys running the football early and often if they hope to win.
Well, you talk about Melville being a dual threat. Now you've got backs that can run the ball efficiently as well. So that's a problem that Sam Houston will have to solve throughout this afternoon.
And for the Bearcats, they have not one but 2 starting quarterbacks, and their head coach, Casey Keeler, says that's fine with him.
Well, Jared Johnson is more of the dual threat quarterback, whereas Briscoe, he can spin it, he'll get it down the field. They can go with either one or both throughout this ball game. That'll be a problem Colgate will have to solve as well.
And for something to keep in mind, Sam Houston State has never lost a home game in the playoffs. Everybody's dialed up and wired in, ready for kickoff in a moment. Colgate wins the toss, elects to defer. That means the team in orange gets the football first. Forrest, let's take a look at the Northwest Mutual planning for success. We'll begin with Colgate, who shouldn't change anything at this point in the season.
Well, for Colgate, you've got to control P.J. Hall. Don't allow him to disrupt what you want to do early, and do what you do. Your identity is running the football. Don't get caught up in the fast pace that Sam Houston runs. And for Sam Houston, keep the game fast-paced. You want to get 100-plus plays and stay poised. If the game starts to slow down, you cannot get fazed by that and allow that to affect what you do. Stay poised, and when you get the opportunity, run your offense effectively and fast-paced.
Time to play. National quarterfinal game, and we're off. Headed to Yadiah Lewis, 3 yards in, falls down. That'll be an official knee down. And so that means this high-powered offense, second highest scoring offense in the country, ready to take the field. And the big mystery this week, who will start at quarterback? Head coach Casey Keeler leaning toward Jeremiah Briscoe over Jared Johnson, and Briscoe will get the start today. In the playoffs, 524 in the air, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, a terrific quarterback rating, 4th best in the Southland Conference. They ran as many as 118 plays against Southern Utah, and they'll start on the ground here first, and a pickup of 8. And if they establish a running game to go with this great passing game, that's Corey Avery carrying there. Look out.
And Corey Avery's not a big back, but he's a very powerful back, and he runs with his pads low. That's what's going to be key for Sam Houston this afternoon. If their backs can continue to gas Colgate in the middle like they did on that play, it'll be a long afternoon for this Colgate defense.
Got a pretty good front 5 up there. Donald Jackson, Tyler Tesno, Zachary Stevens, Bridge Blount, and Sam Hardy. And that's Ladarius Brown. on the first down of the game. Twice they've gone over the century mark in plays, a couple other times between 90 and 99. Oh, you did that all the time, Florida State, didn't you?
No, we scored very early. We only got
You didn't need that many plays. So a run and then 2 pass plays. Lewis on the reception there. Goes as a strong run when you throw out to that screen pass or that flare pass, pick up 4 or 5 on first down, doesn't it?
Well, you're getting the ball to athletes in space, and you allow them to do what they do best, which is make plays.
Briscoe goes play action on a seam ball and a dart inside the 40-yard line. Lewis on the catch. 54th reception of the year. First down, Bearcats.
And you see the play action right here. The defense reacts to the play action by Briscoe, which allows the receiver to get in the zone.
After the pickup of 18, he finds Ladarius Brown. And right now, Briscoe's dialing it in as the starting quarterback today. There was a flag on the play, our first of this playoff game. Big Sky officiating crew. Bruce Bondi is the referee.
Prior to the snap, we had a false start. All 11 players did not come set. That's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
Casey Keeler, the head coach, second year coach at Sam Houston State. Won a national championship as a player and as a coach at Delaware. So it is 1st and 15 to Lewis, trying to get a block on the edge and out of bounds inside the 40-yard line. Boy, if you're a defense, you have got to be set and set quickly for this offense, which is moving at all times.
And what Sam Houston is doing, they're going 3 wides. They're spreading out Colgate, which allows them to have an inside running game. Colgate's linebackers have to do a good job of stepping up in the hole and not allowing these backs to gas them.
All right, Forrest, they got the 5 yards back. They were penalized. They handed off to Corey Avery. He's the sophomore back out of Dallas, Texas. Good downhill runner. And Phil Longo says with his running back trio that he has that he might use today, he's the offensive coordinator, all the backs are different.
And exactly what I just said. You saw the linebackers step up in the hole and not allow the backs to get going.
3rd and 8, movement from the defense, and then the right side of the offense, Sam Hardy.
Now the question is, did the defense entice him to move? And I think it may be on the defense because he moved right as the defense moved.
Right you are, sir.
Offside. Defense. Number 37. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
The key to that play is when the defender steps across the line, the offense has to react right as he steps across because the defense is allowed to get back on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
A penalty on the left end, Pat Afriye, who has 9.5 sacks for this Colgate offense, faced with a 3rd and 3. Little option. Briscoe pitch. First down and then some. Maybe a touchdown. To the 1-yard line, Corey Avery on a 3rd and 3.
And that play was made by number 9, Jedediah Lewis. You see him on the outside. Watch the key block that he gets to the outside. Right there to spring Avery. Avery makes a move, and then he gets north and south, and he uses his speed to get down the sideline almost to the end zone.
It's a pickup of 30, 1st and goal from the 1. And now it'll be 2nd and goal. It's a 3-4 defense that the Raiders present. Brett Field, Campbell, and Pat Afriye. Alex is in the middle of 7.5 sacks on the year. And that's Joe Figueroa coming up from the free safety spot as everybody's in the box here. On 2nd and goal, straight ahead, touchdown, Corey Avery.
And that was a good job by the offensive line getting under the pads of the defenders, allowing Avery to find the seam to get to the end zone. On goal line, that's what you want to do. The low man will always win the battle.
Don King will hold. Trey Honstein will kick. 7-0 Sam Houston State. That drive took all of just 3 minutes. And aided by a 30-yard run by Avery, and a fine block by Lewis on the outside. Now the ring is what you play for. National championship coming up in Frisco, Texas on ESPN2 in early January. And Sam Houston State, which is a monster in the first quarter, just caps a 9-play, 75-yard drive. How about those numbers, Forrest? 199 scored in the first period alone.
Well, if you're Colgate, you've got to do what you do, and that is control the time of possession. We talked about it off camera. Colgate, top 25 in time of possession in FCS football. And when you talk about controlling the clock, run your offense slow pace. If you keep this offense from Sam Houston off the field, you dictate what they're able to do as far as scoring the football.
So Colgate deferred. Bearcats got the ball, marched right down the field to get the opening score. Now it'll be Colgate's opportunity. 29 is John Mataluna. Pretty good kick specialist. It's a short kick. It is returnable. From about the 10. So it's the Raiders' chance to present them on offense themselves. We saw Jake Melville in our open. He is the junior quarterback from Sparta, New Jersey. Came to camp a few years back. And Dan Hunt, the head coach, said he is perfect fit for us. Come on aboard. Last week at JMU, 283 with total yards and 4 touchdowns. And so let's see if they can make first downs, Forrest, and control clock. Top 25 in that category at more than 32 minutes per game. But this is a tough assignment today. Good start on first down, though. A pickup of 11. Well, that's the way to do it, and that's Demetrius Russell, who's typically pretty good at pass protection, but he runs the ball equally as well.
Well, the offensive line did a good job of getting extension on their run blocks, and that's what you have to do as an offensive lineman. You not only have to make good contact, but you have to extend those arms and take the defender where you want him to go. Yeah,
we'll see Russell today. James Holland, who has 15 touchdowns for them, and John Wilkins as well. It is a trio running backs across the middle, incomplete. Looking for the tight end, John Quazza, number 80, who had a circus catch in a recent playoff game last week at JMU for a touchdown.
And he is a matchup problem for Sam Houston at 6'6". He will always have a height advantage on the defender that's trying to slow him down.
Yeah, he's got corners matched up at 5'11", so that's about a half a foot taller. Kind of like matching you and me in the stand-up today. You notice the difference. Empty backfield, Melville, little screen pass in the flat. Going to bring him to a third down. This team is very good on third down. Success rate of 45%. But they're also going up against Forrest, a team that's equally as good as getting off the field with 59 3-and-outs.
And now it's P.J. Hall time, the defensive end. They come into this game with 45 tackles for loss when they're starting front four.
Time of possession will be huge today. And they need to pick up 7, the Raiders do, on third down. Melville, straight drop back, looking. He's got man coverage on the edge. Incomplete. Mikel Everett back defending, and so that's the 60th 3-and-out for that defense of Sam Houston State.
And the aforementioned P.J. Hall flashed in front of Melville. Melville may have thrown the ball a little prematurely than he wanted to because of the pressure provided by P.J. Hall. Throughout this afternoon, I'm going to look and see what Colgate does in passing situations. Will they play him man up or will they double him on the outside?
Good observation. Nico Armiento with the punt. He's got some wind behind it. And it will die inside the 20. So this possession for Sam Houston State will start just outside the 20 after a punt of 46. No return. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Let me correct something I said earlier. That was not a 3-and-out for Colgate. Actually had a rushing first down in the first play. So why did Dan Hunt's offense go to passing after that?
Well, they did exactly what I thought they should not do, and that is get away from who you are and your identity. You get 11 yards on the first carry. You're running the clock. You've got to continue to run the ball. Make Sam Houston stop you from running the ball. Make them put 8 in the box, and then you start to use your passing game.
And the passing game typically is what Sam Houston State's very effective at. So far they've been finding on the edge 85 in a couple of situations so far. Ladarius Brown at 6'2" and 215. They have excellent slot receivers, and on the outside they've got a couple of burners as well. They are loaded, according to Casey Keeler, at the wideout position. Avery straight ahead, who recorded the first and only touchdown of the game, his 15th rushing touchdown of the year.
The problem when you play a 3-4 defense is those defenders on the line have to do a good job of not allowing the offensive lineman to get to the second level and block your linebackers.
Which is happening so far. That one dropped. Five minutes into the opening quarter. Jacksonville State put up 58 last night before a raucous crowd on ESPN2. One over Charleston Southern. Will it be a rematch between Sam Houston and Jacksonville State next week? Jedediah Lewis. You mentioned wanting to get receivers out in space, and guys like him are lethal when he gets to that perimeter.
We can see the short, quick pass to Jedediah Lewis. He gets to the outside, makes a couple of fakes, gets north and south, plants that foot, and he continues to get positive yards.
Good for 13. He'll try the other side to Lewis. Tries to stiff arm the defender. They will spot him in midfield. That's a pickup of 6. Right now this offense is rolling. And let's talk Colgate defense. And with a 3-man pressure that right now is not putting on any pressure, what do you need to do?
They've got to find a way to get pressure, but they also have to find a way to be able to cover on the outside.
And they do a nice job there as 4 or 5 defenders able to swallow up the play, led by Joe Figueroa, number 1 at 47, Charles Carney. So it will send us to a 3rd and 1.
Gain of 2 brings up 3rd down and 1 yard.
And what's interesting, they're going left, right with their passing game. So they've got these defenders moving all over the field from hash mark to hash mark. That is how you tire out a defense.
And also set a defense up. Straight ahead, Avery into that second line of defense to the 37-yard line. That's a pickup of 9 and another Sam Houston State first down.
And what they did, they set backs to both sides of the quarterback, Briscoe, which did not allow Colgate to have a key to where the back running the ball was going to go.
Now a 3-by-1 receiver set, 3 to the outside, to the left of the quarterback. That's where Briscoe is throwing it. Lewis has become a favorite receiver to the 31-yard line, and good for 7 on first down. And right now the Bearcats are doing whatever they want to do.
And what Briscoe's doing on his pre-snap reads, he's looking for the matchup that he likes. When he sees a linebacker out trying to cover in the slot, he goes to that receiver.
That one intended for the slot receiver and broken up at the line of scrimmage. 93, Brett Field. He is Colgate's best pass rusher.
Hey, don't get in my way.
With 8 sacks and 11.5 tackles for losses. Now puts the Sam Houston State Bearcats in a 3rd and 3 from the 31. What do you like here on 3rd down?
I think you run the football. That's where you've been most successful.
They will to Avery. Made a man miss. Got enough for the first down. A second effort for the sophomore running back.
Jalen Overstreet on the carry. And that's
Check that Jalen Overstreet carrying the football for the first time today. Overstreet's almost a forgotten man with 2 1,000-yard rushers, but he is at 755 now for the year.
And he's more of their power back. He's that guy that's going to move the chains. He can get it going if he gets an amount of carries, but he's the power guy.
Again, out to the slot. One man misses. This might be enough. Touchdown! Davion Davis.
And if you watch number 2, Chris Morgan, right here gets shook out of his shoes. He's still picking his face up off the turf. Great move by Davion Davis to get to the end zone. And you talk about getting athletes the ball in space. If you allow them to get the ball in space, they're going to be able to make plays.
We saw this moments ago. Another extra point try for Hohenstein. Sam Houston State 14, Colgate nothing, and quarterback Jeremiah Briscoe is 10 of 12 for 94 yards and a touchdown.
Timeout on the field.
Davion Davis from Hutto, Texas, north of Austin, the Hutto Hippos. Nickname of the high school there. Good-looking freshman, third touchdown reception, already 14-0. All right, let's go back to what you said earlier, and you'll probably say many times, Colgate must run the football, right?
Well, you come into a ball game against the Sam Houston State defense that gives up 4.9 rushing yards per carry. You got to continue to do what you do. Make Sam Houston show you they can stop the run. That is what has gotten you to this point. I think they got away from their identity in that first series after they got 11 yards on the first carry and started to try and throw the football. I'm not saying don't throw the football, but stay true to who you are.
Yes, a good offense by Colgate also serves as a good defense against Sam Houston State because the Bearcats can't get back on the field. Van Hunt's team already in a 2-touchdown hole, and because of the wind, this kickoff will be aided by a holder at the 35-yard line. Matalona from the 5. Trying to find some opening. He can't get to the 20. Got athletes on special teams here as well. Ridgeway Frank was up there. And Josh Reynolds, 19. All right, so the Raiders back on offense from the 20-yard line. Second sequence. Ran the football for the first time moments ago for a first down, and then the drive stalled. This is the Raiders' largest deficit in the first quarter of the season. Halfway through opening quarter, Jim Barber and Forrest Connolly, who won a national championship with Florida State. Melville throwing the ball out to the flat. Good safe pass on first down to the 27-yard line. So on the receiving end, Thomas Ives, 6th catch of the season, gain of 7. 2nd and 3. And a 3-receiver set to the outside. This team runs the football best in its conference, the Patriot League, a 208 a game. Zone read. First down.
And what's interesting about the Sam Houston State defense right now, they're daring Colgate to go vertical. You see the safety walked up in the box. They've got man coverage on the outside with the 3 wides. They're daring Colgate on 2nd and 3rd and short to go vertical. So that's something to look forward to later as this game progresses.
Yeah, and if you can get your running game going, that sets up play action. And play action with those safeties sticking their nose in, or linebackers, will give you an opportunity for good man coverage. Second first down of the first quarter from the 32. Play clock at 2. Melville gets the play off. Which brings up another item here. Do you want to use as much of the play clock when you have the ball in offense?
Absolutely. You want to use all of the play clock. Take your time. Get your calls from the sideline. Get in the huddle or allow your linemen to line up. Allow them to get their pre-snap reads. You're not in a rush right now. The game is far from over. We're still in the first quarter. You want that offense to stay off the field. Now, you do want to come away with points, but you want to keep that Sam Houston offense off the field.
Well, the idea is to shorten the game if possible. 2nd and 7. Melville to the outside. It'll be a 3rd and manageable for the Raiders. Matalona, one of his favorite receivers, on the edge there to make the catch. Chris Young is the offensive coordinator of this team, a '97 graduate of Colgate, 13 years on staff. And here comes the Sam Houston State crowd. Not going to be enough.
And they tried to spread them out with 4 wides, but you see once again those safeties sticking their head in that box and not allowing them to get that running game going. That's what you have to do. Adrian Contreras did a good job of filling the gap and not allowing the back to get those positive yards.
Nico Armiento on the punt again, and back to receive 25 Gerald Thomas, who already has a 78-yard punt return for touchdown. A fake. And it's awful close. Colgate says it has the first down. Sam Houston State would disagree.
It doesn't look like they got a good mark on the play. I thought from watching the play from bird's eye view that he had the first down. It'll be interesting to see where they place the football. I think he did get enough for it, the way the ball is marked. They're going to get a measurement, but
it's a pretty big play here.
And you see them hand the ball off to the up back, and he does a good job of keeping his feet moving and falling forward. Sam Houston had the play read, but the back continued to keep his feet moving and made sure he fell forward.
This is the 43rd time the Raiders have gone for it on 4th down. It's likely the most of any team in the FCS. Big measurement here.
And the fact that they did it so deep in their own territory.
Not by much.
I like it. I like it, Jim. At the end of the day, this can either be your next to last game or your last game or possibly promote you to go forward. So you've got to go for it right here. You're down 14 points to an offense that you cannot stop so far. And the way he kept his feet moving, maybe this energizes this Colgate offense. You know, it's called commando football. You want to win. When you go for it that deep in your own territory, this early, it's got to be commando.
Yeah, pretty hard to win when you don't have the football. And this drive will continue now from the 42. Under 4.5, first quarter. 29th time on first down, or 4th down rather, Colgate has been successful. Demetrius Russell, a senior running back from Tampa, James Holland, a sophomore from Royal Palm Beach, and John Wilkins, a junior from Wallington, New Jersey. In a lot of ways, running back by committee, and it's a pretty good committee at that. Second and 7. Quarterback keep. Haven't seen Melville do that until this time. Melville inside the 30-yard line. On the season, he has rushed for over 1,000 yards, and he calls his own number. And it's a first down. Reminds you of Eli Jenkins last night for Jacksonville State and how effective he can be when he decides to keep the ball after various other play calls.
Well, the reason that play was successful because the linebackers all walked up in the box and they came downhill at the snap of the football. So when Melville got to the second level, there was no one there to make the tackle.
Pick up at 27. First down from the 28. Big drive early in the game for the Raiders. In the backfield with the quarterback, Russell. Russell and Melville. This is Russell straight ahead. Got stood up and pushed forward. They'll mark him at the 22 and a pick up a 6 on first down. I'll go back to that number you mentioned earlier for us, that Sam Houston State gives up about 5 yards per rush. Now you're facing one of the best rushing teams in the country. You can see the numbers for the career for these guys, so running the football is certainly paramount.
That should be your game plan throughout this afternoon. Run the football. Make Sam Houston show me that you can stop me. You can show me better than you can tell me, so show me.
10th play of the drive. Second and short. Melville to the outside, incomplete.
And with the success that they've had the last 2 plays running the football, I don't know why you go back to trying to get that passing game going. You've got success. You've got Sam Houston on their heels. Look at their defenders. Guys have got their hands on their hips. They look a little bit gassed from this drive. run the football right at them.
Sam Houston State very good defending on third down. The Raiders are 0 for 2 on third down today. Need to pick up 4 from the 22. Straight ahead. Allen, the ball carrier. Depends on the spot. Looks like he may be short, but we'll see. Nope, good enough first down. So a big carry on third down of 4 inside the red zone for the first time for the Raiders.
And you see, once again, the offensive linemen are getting up to the second level linebackers because they're walking up in the hole. The second level is very short and easy for those guys to get to. They're more athletic, so the deeper they're back in their defensive stance, the more opportunity they have to get by those offensive linemen trying to get to them.
Less than 2 minutes to go, first quarter. A significant drive for the Raiders, trailing by 14. Holland, or maybe a yard on first down. Ryan Polish is left tackle trying to lead the way.
And I see a pattern of where they're running the football behind the left guard, John Weber. He's the best overall lineman, a former high school basketball player. So you know he has very good feet, and he's able to get to that second level when they do the tandem blocks on the defensive tackles and the nose guard.
His offensive coordinator calls him a rock. That's high praise, isn't it? And Jake Melville will use one of the Raiders' 3 first-half timeouts.
Timeout, Colgate, their first charge timeout of the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
Dan Hunt was part of the turnaround team in '96 as an assistant. And at that time, when they say turnaround, we're talking about a team that didn't win any football games. You ask him what that was like, and he said, we just couldn't score. So trying to come to work with the idea that you're not likely to win makes it very hard on everybody. And the one thing you ask of the players is to try not to quit.
Well, there's no pressure when you come to a program like that. You get to build from the ground up. The expectations aren't there initially. So you get to build and you get to create an environment of winning as opposed to coming into a program where they expect you to win right off the bat. So you look at the cups being half full as opposed to half empty.
13th play of the drive, dominated by runs. We're deep into the first quarter. John Wilkins, the ball carrier, to the 10-yard line, sets up a 3rd and short. So back to the running game, and on this drive, the running game has been quite effective.
And number 73, the right guard, Jordy Dalmau, got a good block at the second level, which again allows these backs to get going. When you are able to get your guards up to the second level defenders and they're able to cover up these linebackers, these running backs will have lanes to run the football. That's key throughout this afternoon. What Sam Houston State's defensive line has to do a better job of is being stout at the point of attack and not allowing these guards to get to the second level because their linebackers are walking up.
On third down, zone read, quarterback keep, didn't make it. Now a decision, 4th and short. Field goal will put you on the board, but might not do you good against a high-octane team like this.
Well, you got to go for it right now. You've got to, put your foundation down right now. To me, this is when you challenge your offensive line. Guys, we need 1 yard. This is championship football. We need you to come together and get us 1 yard.
They're 29 for 43 on 4th down, including the fake earlier in this quarter. Snap to Melville. Running the football to the outside. It's got the first down inside the 5, down to the 3, and a good-looking drive by the Raiders from the Patriot League. And that will end the first quarter. When we come back,
That's the end of
Colgate
the first quarter.
knocking on the door. 1st and goal from inside the 5, trailing 14-0. Shades of Michigan State's drive against Iowa, the Big Ten Championship, which was 22 plays in the fourth quarter to win the game. This is the 16th play of the drive for the Raiders. And 12 of these plays have been on the ground. As you had suggested, they do, Forrest. First and goal from the 3. Touchdown, Colgate. Their touchdown maker, James Holland, 16th rushing score of the year. And they're back in business, trailing 14-6.
And it was just too easy. They spread him out, and you see Holland basically walk into the end zone untouched. Once again, you see a tight end get to the second-level defender and able to get a hat on him and block him. And it all started going for it on that 4th down. That's where it all began for Colgate.
Jonah Bowman for the extra point. Raiders have 81 yards rushing in this game. And a drive of 16 plays, 80 yards, took up 8 minutes. Well, want to win this game against Sam Houston State? That's the way to do it.
Timeout on the field.
The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. They described James Holland as a bowling ball with razor blades. Can you imagine that? Bowling ball just got his 16th touchdown of the year. And by the way, 15 of those have come in the last 7+ games. A ground ball to the 15-yard line. And this possession set to start at the 30. Let's go back to that 4th down gamble that Dan Hunt and Chris Young executed. Actually, there were 2 of them, and this one, the second one by Melville, nearly resulted in a touchdown. They are now 30 of 44 on 4th down this year. That's 68% efficiency when taking risks. Short-legged but thick, James Holland. Team's principal running back. Has them down now to 7. Play action to the near side. Briscoe now 11 of 13. As he finds Gerald Thomas.
Good for another Bearcat. First down.
So you got 4 speed guys, all potential edge receivers, although 2 will play in the slot for Sam Houston State. So far, Forrest, we've had 4 drives in this game. This is now number 5. And that means there aren't going to be a whole lot of possessions at this rate, which means doing something with a possession, namely scoring, is going to be pivotal.
And right now, the pressure shifted back over to Sam Houston State. They've got to show that they can score the football once again, because now Colgate is comfortable running the football, and the offense realizes they're not going to get as much time on the field as they'd like.
That is Briscoe's 3rd incompleted pass. Casey Keeler with some concern as they need to pick up 4. Play action, incomplete, back-to-back incompleted passes. And so the Bearcats are going to have to give up the ball.
And you see Briscoe did not take his time and step into this throw. He tried to throw it off of his back foot. You've got to step into the throw, take a little bit off, and lead your receiver.
Lachlan Edwards will punt. The Aussie who landed at Sam Houston State. Good kick. Fair catch called for at the 10. And we'll stay here just 52 seconds into the second quarter. Let's talk about what we've seen so far in the first quarter, and are we living up to the billing?
Well, right now, Colgate has found their identity again. They came in, they did good on the first play, but then got away from it. And we talked about it off camera. Sometimes coaches outcoach themselves and overthink. You do what you do best, which is establish the running game. Now you've got a Sam Houston ball club that's going to have to think about bringing more players in the box, playing man on the outside, and you may be able to take shots, especially with the play-action pass.
You saw the graphic, 20 plays, 94 yards, 16 plays on the recent scoring drive for the Raiders, who start deep in their own territory and again start on first down with a solid gain up the middle. Demetrius Russell carrying the football.
This is exactly what you want to do. 5-6 yards a pop. You come into a ball game against a defense that's giving up about 5 yards a carry, make them prove to you that they can stop the run.
Andre Mosley credited with a tackle. This is indeed Raider football. A 2nd and 3, down by 7. A delayed handoff. Another first down for Russell. Carrying the football up to the 34-yard line and a gain of 15.
And if you watch what the offensive linemen are doing in their pre-snap reads, they're seeing where the defenders are. They're pulling tight ends around the edge. And once the back gets to the second level, there's no one there. Because of their success running the football, these linebackers are coming downhill at the snap of the football.
You're the defensive coordinator for Sam Houston State, Mike Collins. What do you change here? This time Melville keeps, and the Bearcats doing a pretty good job of sniffing that out as Jacoby Hunter, number 98, up there to make the stop.
And that question you asked, I think if I'm the defensive coordinator for Sam Houston State, I'm going to have my linebackers sit back and read as opposed to attack downhill. Because of the play action passing game, because of the read option, I think if you read, you sit back and read, now you've got a lineman trying to make a play on you. You're a better athlete as a linebacker. You can squeeze and get by those guys and get to the ball carrier. When you walk down in the hole, you make it easy for the lineman to get a block on you.
Again, deep into the play clock. Raiders will snap it with 1 remaining. Melville over the middle, incomplete, intended for tight end John Quazza. Andre Mosley, the free safety, back defending number 29. Brings up a 3rd and 9.
And those are plays that you have to hit when you're running the ball successfully. You're going to get opportunities down the field. You've got to hit those plays.
Now, you don't have a terrific amount of margin for error, I would think, if you're an underdog in this game.
And if you see what Colgate is doing, they've got a tight end on the side where P.J. Hall will be rushing the quarterback. They want to make sure they get 2 guys on him.
He is number 92. Interesting play call on 3rd down and a handoff to Holland. He got a couple of yards, but why forsake the pass there, needing 9?
Well, I think right now they're being conservative. They know that their defense can get stops. They got to stop on the last set of downs for Sam Houston State, and you want to be careful. I wouldn't have made that play call. I would have tried to get the ball to athlete in space, but they were trying to catch Sam Houston, thinking Sam Houston was going to be playing for the pass.
Brings out Nico Armiento for his 3rd punt of the afternoon. Fair catch, 32-yard line. Time for us to step away. 11:38 for the first half of this national quarterfinal game. With Forrest Connolly, Jim Barber, today on ESPN3. The quarterfinals, Bearcats and their fans up early today. Commencement taking place on this campus, both Friday and Saturday. Biggest question was the weather, as the game was moved from 7 o'clock Central Time to 11 a.m. today. And do I jinx us by saying so far so good? I don't care. It's actually a pretty good day for football so far. Lots of overcast skies and clouds today, but it has been good football weather.
And once again, you see number 2, Chris Morgan, that hybrid linebacker type, flash up at the line of scrimmage and make a play.
2nd and 8, trying to set a pick on the outside, and depending on the spot, good enough, 1st down.
And that's been the most successful play for Sam Houston State this afternoon. Getting the ball on the outside to your playmakers, allowing them to make plays in open space.
Thomas on the reception, football to the 44 after a pickup of 11. Across the middle, that nearly picked off, intended for their slot receiver.
And I don't know, I think that ball was intended for Ladarius Brown, number 85, but Corey Avery jumped up and tried to make a play on it. Watch Ladarius Brown, number 85, come across. You see him right there wide open. I think he'd be in for a touchdown right now. And you see him frustrated because Corey Avery jumped up and tried to catch that football.
Now Avery will run the football, and he is up to the sticks. Could be enough for a 1st down. When you have two receivers, and Avery was a receiver on that play previously, in the same area, is there a problem with that?
Well, Avery came underneath. He did a stagger route on that play, but you have to know where your teammates are and where the quarterback is trying to go with the football.
Now Avery on first down carries for 5. He has 10 carries today for 74 yards and a rushing touchdown of 30.
And from the reaction of the quarterback and Brown on that play, I think it was supposed to go to Brown.
To the flat, Briscoe's thrown a lot out there today. It's been very effective. They've been short, safe passes, and in a couple of situations have been able to take them into big gains, as Jediah Lewis, the sophomore receiver, did there.
Well, Jediah Lewis did a good job of following his blocking and ready follow Darius Brown, who got a good block on the defender on the outside. And once again, Lewis is able to break a tackle and get 5 to 6 more extra yards.
Jediah's not very big at 5'8", 187, but he is speedy. Now to the other side. You love seeing these receivers catch and then try to put a move on as Tyler Scott gets his first reception of the day, his 8th of the year. The big guns in the Southland Conference, 3 through 5, all from Sam Houston State. Brown, Lewis, Thomas. 2nd and 1, play action. Briscoe looking again to the outside. And a first down. Davion Davis, who already has a reception for a touchdown. One of the gifted outside receivers. And they move the chains once again.
And the offensive line are doing a great job of giving him time to go through his progressions. He went to three different progressions on that play.
We should mention during the conference call that you asked offensive coordinator Phil Longo, which lineman is your best? And he said, that question is like asking me, which child do I love the most?
But he did identify Donald Jackson, who was the Southland Lineman of the Year, as his best offensive lineman. But I think he likes all of those guys and what they bring to the table.
To Lewis, looking for the end zone, touchdown.
And you talk about unselfish play. Watch the block on the outside to spring Lewis. Great job by the receiver, Davion Davis, to get a block on the defender, which allowed Lewis to walk into the end zone. That is unselfish play, and that's what you like to see if you're an offensive coordinator.
And Lewis now forced with 8 catches for 79 yards. The extra point is good by Onstein. 21-7 in favor of the Bearcats. The NCAA FCS Football Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. 21-7 our score here. The winner gets Jacksonville State. My guess is John Grosso's team would like a rematch. Grosso's team was very effective last night, but lost to this Sam Houston team in the playoffs last year at home. Meantime, North Dakota State trailing Northern Iowa 17-7 halfway through the second quarter. Richmond awaits that winner. Might this be the end of the dynasty that the school from Fargo has created with back-to-back championships?
I think this may be the best year to end that dynasty. We've got some very competitive football being played in FCS.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun and a lot of offense as well. Raiders will likely take a knee here and start from their own 25. Trailing with under 9 to go in the first half, 21-7.
It's interesting, on that third down play, the last series that Colgate had the football, you questioned that call. It was very conservative. And now you go back to it, and was that the correct call to make? Because you really didn't give your team a chance to get a first down on 3rd and 9 trying to run the ball. You're going to be in certain passing situations where you must pass the football. And that's when Colgate has to be able to make those receptions. That play to the tight end down the middle, that was a big play, a potentially big play. but you saw Melville put a little bit too much on the football. Those are intangible plays that they have to make.
Extremely modest numbers so far throwing the ball for us for Melville. 3 of 7 for 13 yards as Russell carries on first down.
And I think for Colgate to be successful, you've got to keep going with the downhill running game. I don't like the east and west play call on that play. You want to get these backs going downhill. Demetrius Russell has been more effective running the ball between the tackles, not trying to get it to the outside.
Yeah, I suppose the other question is, do you have enough speed on the perimeter to beat Sam Houston State? Once again, using the play clock to its advantage. Colgate. Quarterback Melville flushed out of the pocket. He's got a receiver down the field. Incomplete. Mataluna got back there to try to get a reception, but what a great recovery by Alfonso McMillan.
And you see, because of the pressure applied by P.J. Hall, Melville has to get rid of the football, and he put a little bit too much air under it. If he's able to spin it and get it down the field, the receiver has the ability to make a play. But you see Hall right there flashing and forcing Melville to get outside the pocket, and he's not able to really step into that throw like he wants to.
Melville in trouble. He can run the football. He will do just that. He is going to be short. Now, here's a decision for Dan Hunt. They have gambled in their own territory on fourth down. Do you take a chance here?
I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Hunt does. But once again, it's the P.J. Hall effect. They had two guys trying to block him on that play, and he was able to split both of those offensive linemen and get pressure on the quarterback. They've got to find a way to block him. He will disrupt everything they're trying to do. And the further they get behind, the more often they're going to have to pass the football, the more you're going to see him continue to be a factor in this ball game.
Remember, they faked it the last time here on fourth and short, and that one is partially blocked.
And there's that man again, P.J. Hall.
That's his 5th block of the season.
2 blocks last week on extra points, and here he goes again. You've got to find a way to contain him. He will disrupt everything that you're trying to do. He makes sacks, he blocks punts, he does everything. This kid is a dynamic player that will play on Sundays.
There is no foul for running into the kicker.
By the way, from Florida State, who does he remind you of?
He reminds me of playing against Warren Sapp.
Really?
He's not the biggest guy in the world, but his first step is tremendous. This guy's a former power lifter. He has explosion in his hips and his thighs. He has a 600-pound squat, and you see his ability to get up the field before the lineman can react.
And he has flipped the field now as the Bearcats have it in Colgate territory from the 47. Play action across the middle on a seam ball. And a dart to Thomas. First down, pickup of 17.
And right now they've got it going. You see they've got Colgate on their heels. You see the play action pass. Good job by Briscoe stepping into that throw and getting it down the field.
Now for the 30-yard line, Avery straight ahead running downhill. Carrying the pack with him for a pickup of 8. It's almost like they smell the blood in the water here.
Well, when you make a big play on special teams, it energizes the offense. The offensive linemen get more into it. They're already into it because it's a playoff game. It's a home playoff game. It's probably their last home game of the season. You want to show well. But you've got your guys into it right now. You've got a defense on their heels.
Jalen Overstreet in the backfield along with quarterback Briscoe. They'll fake it to him. Little hitch and go. Incomplete. Would have been a touchdown if Brown was able to haul it in.
And you see the double move on the play, the pump fake by Briscoe. They tried to get the ball out to the big Puma. He's a matchup nightmare for the defensive backs for Colgate because of his height. And he's almost able to make a good play on it. The defender did a good job of playing through the football, staying in between the offensive player and the football, but Puma almost made a play on it.
Brings us to a 3rd and 2. And a first down to the 18-yard line. Sam Houston State back in the red zone. You know, prior to today, and this is really an incredible number, 67 times this offense had been inside the 20 during the course of the season. Now they're up to 69.
And they know what to do when they get there.
Oh, yes. 81% efficiency.
and 68% of those being touchdowns.
Little pump fake across the middle. Touchdown. What a play call. Ladarius Brown.
Also known as the Big Puma. And it's just too much time. The offensive line are giving Briscoe all day. You see him with the pump fake. He reads the Big Puma down in the middle of that zone, and he's able to get the ball to him. He makes himself big. Easy pitch and catch for the quarterback to the receiver for the touchdown.
Yeah, you saw the center in our replay, 56, Zachary Stevens, hold up any type of rush that allowed Briscoe to throw his third touchdown pass of the game. He is now 18 of 24. Just slightly under 200 yards.
Look at the pocket. No pressure whatsoever. The guards and the center are stout at the point of attack. The offensive tackles are keeping the width of the pocket, not allowing the defensive ends to press down. He doesn't even have to climb the pocket. He's able to just sit back there at the snap of the football, locate the receiver he wants to go to, and it's easy pitch and catch.
Now it's important for Colgate to match with a scoring drive of its own, and it will get the football to start the second half. Bill Belichick, who has been so successful at New England, over 60 times in his career with the Patriots, has scored the last touchdown of a first half, and then with the opening kickoff scored an opening touchdown to start the third quarter. So this is a pretty important time for the Raiders, who they know are really in a hole right now, down 28-7. Holstein will kick from the 35. A 5-play, 47-yard drive and a $113, aided by the block from P.J. Hall. Now, it's interesting about Hall. He blocked 2 last week. You mentioned that. One of the blocks was on an extra point, which led to a pickup. You can return it for 2. That happened. That's 3 points in that play. That was the decision of the game. The game was decided by 3.
And
so he's a game maker.
3-point turnaround.
Yep.
You take a point away from the offensive team and give your team 2 points. Now, it's interesting. They don't have P.J. Hall in the game right now. So what will they do? Will they wait till it gets to throwing down and get him back in the ball game, allow him to get fresh legs?
Well, you talked to everybody from Colgate, and they said, you know, Melville's got to be aware of Hall out there.
I think he's aware of.
Yeah.
As many times as he's flashed in front of him, I think he's well aware of who number 92 is.
Yeah, what did coordinator Chris Young tell us during the week for Colgate? Young better find him, and we got to take care of his aggressiveness. And you're right, nobody has found a way to keep him from blocking kicks.
And it's all that first step, that explosion.
Well, if you want to make it in the league, the National Football League, playing on special teams is pretty important. And even though Hall is not particularly big, the fact is he's so disruptive, he can find a spot.
Well, it's not always about size. Like I said, Warren Sapp is not the biggest guy.
Right.
Dwight Freeney's not the biggest guy. Mathis for Indianapolis is not the biggest guy. But these guys have heart, they have determination, and they have a skill set that often you don't see often. That explosion and that will to win, they will themselves to make plays. And that's what I see in this kid Hall. He has all of those abilities, and he's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
He's young, so he still has a lot more to learn and a lot better. His ceiling is very, very high.
Colgate has 2 timeouts remaining in the first half. Perfect situation. They keep Hall off the field and ineffective, and they march down for a touchdown, reduce this game to a 2-score deficit, and then get the ball to start the second half.
Well, I think if they get another first down, we'll see Hall back in the ball game.
Holland straight ahead and close to the sticks. Just 2 yards shy, 3rd and 2 into Bearcat territory.
And this is the type of ball game I expected to see from the Colgate offense throughout this afternoon. Take your time. Run the football. Get first downs.
This is probably 4-down territory, I would think. Melville to the outside. He won't need that 4th down. First down to the 46. And a pickup of 6 on 3rd down for Jake Melville.
And you see the ability of Melville in the open field. Mike Chapman, number 11 for Sam Houston State, had an opportunity to make a play, but Melville fakes to the inside and gets all the way to the outside and gets the first down. That's what you have to do. Use your athletic ability and get first downs. You don't need huge plays. You just want to get first downs.
This first down starts from the 46. Every play snap under 10 seconds so far. They were coming off the edge out to Mataluna. And he laces forward to the 40 and a pickup of 6.
Number 29.
And I'll tell you what, if I'm Colgate, I'm going to start using the aggressiveness of the Sam Houston defense against them. Run some screen passes. Run some draw plays. Go with the hard count. Get easy yards. Allow them to give you some easy yards. If you watch this defense, they've got their ears pinned back.
Sure.
And they're coming.
With a 3-touchdown lead, why not?
You got to pull all your tricks out of your bag right now to get back into this ball game.
It's a 4-man front of Sam Houston State. On 2nd down, Melville's going to step up, and he's going to be dropped. For the first time today, Jake Melville sacked back at the 45-yard line.
And they got pressure right in the middle of that offensive line. You've got to be stout at the point of attack. You've got to expect them to bring linebackers. They know you're going to be throwing the football, but you see the guard get beat to the outside. You've got to get a wide base and you've got to punch. Too often these offensive linemen are catching. You've got to punch the defender in between his pads and let him know you're there.
Need to pick up 9. On the ground, Holland tripped up before he can gain any significant momentum at the 41. Will leave him 5 yards shy of a first down. 4th and 5.
And that was a good job by number 22, Tristan Eshe. He got him by the legs, because if he doesn't get Holland, Holland has about 6 to 7 more yards before a defender is able to flash in front of him.
Raiders will go for it. Melville looking to his left, firing, first down. A laser to the 32-yard line. Big catch by Mataluna, first down, and the drive rolls on.
And what they did different on that 4th down, they spread him out. They went 4 wides. He got the ball to his slot receiver. The defensive backs are playing too far off on those receivers. That was an easy first down.
Important catch and throw, because if they failed to get the first down, Sam Houston State would take over on downs with 3 timeouts left. Now under a minute, first half. Melville, little pump fakes, got him in. Ball caught, touchdown. Alex Greenawalt with his 5th touchdown reception of the year, 31 yards, and the Raiders strike back.
And I talked about it earlier. Used their aggression against them. He went with the pump and go. The receiver stopped. The defender stopped with the receiver trying to jump the route. And that was an easy touchdown. When you've got a team that's playing as aggressive as Sam Houston, you've got to use their aggressiveness against them. Really good play call by the Colgate offense.
And when you can run the football, as the Raiders have been doing recently, that sets up any kind of play action as well. Solid drive there. 10 plays, 79 yards. Check that, 75 in a little more than 5 minutes. In a high-scoring second quarters, each team has scored twice. Now, I know there'll be somebody at home saying, hey, Colgate scored too early.
You see Melville with the good pump fake right there, and the defender, Trenier Orr, bit on the stop-and-go route, being too aggressive. That's what you have to do. You've got to find ways to use this aggressive defense's aggression against them. That's why I say in the second half, I expect Colgate to do some screen passes, some draw plays, let that aggressive defense get up the field, and then you get your offense going.
Melville's numbers, total yards today, 116. So you're Sam Houston State. You still have a 2-touchdown lead. You still have your full complement of timeouts left. How do you play this final 48 seconds?
Well, it all depends on what kind of kickoff return you get. If you get the ball, up past your 40, then you may try and take some shots down the field. If you don't get a reception, maybe you get an interference call and put yourselves in a position to possibly get it to the end zone or go for a field goal. But it depends on the return right now.
Lewis and Thomas are deep. They're going to force him to field it at the 20. Ridgeway Frank on the return. Good field position for Sam Houston State across the 35-yard line. And still, at least for the Bearcats, plenty of time, right? I mean, this offense can score and score in lightning-like fashion.
But you've got to be careful because you don't want to give up a turnover and allow Colgate to try and put more points on the board before the half because, as you said, Colgate gets the ball in the second half. Even if it's 3 points, you don't want to give that up. You've got a 2-touchdown lead right now.
Let's see if they test the edges of the perimeter of Colgate's defense as the Bearcats have done most of the first half. Inside handoff instead. And good enough for a first down. Clock stops with 34 remaining. So Corey Avery carries to the 47. Honstein, the field goal kicker, his longest of the year is 47, and he'll have some wind to help out. And the Cats will use the first of 3 timeouts.
That's their first charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
There's a look at Trey Honstein this year, 6 of 11. He's had a couple of kicks blocked. 49, Lachlan Edwards, the punter, is holding for him.
And that's the danger of trying to kick a long field goal. The trajectory is not going to be as high. So those down linemen, if they can get up in the air and get a hand on that football, now you put your team in a position to get a scoop and score. So you have to be very careful trying to get a long field goal.
We're in Huntsville, Texas today for this national quarterfinal game. Sam Houston State has led from the beginning. We mentioned his 47-yarder of Honstein. He appears to be ready to go, and let's see how far the Bearcats can move the football here in the remaining less than a half a minute. Boy, no defender on the outside. Way too easy to the 23-yard line and a pickup of 21 to Davis. What happened there defensively?
Well, what they did, they had their outside receiver come on a short crossing route, which cleared everything out, and then the other receiver went out in the flat, and no one was there to cover him up. Good job by the quarterback reading what the defense was trying to do.
And just a handful of seconds used on the play. Briscoe to Avery out of the backfield. Avery straight ahead and out of bounds. This 2 or 1 minute drill to be more accurate. Now carries the football to the 6. Pick up a 16. They're going to go without a timeout. They don't need a timeout here because Avery got out of bounds. 12 to go. What's your play call here?
Get the ball to the outside to one of your playmakers, allow him to make a play in space.
Briscoe's looking that way. Little pump fake, and he'll just throw it away. 7 seconds remaining.
And he wanted Jedediah Lewis coming across on a crossing route, but the defense did a good job of jamming him and not allowing him to get across.
It would appear still time to have one more play, one more shot at the end zone. Jedediah Lewis lines up in the slot, at least for the moment. Davis out there with him on a 4-receiver set. Briscoe against a 4-man rush, incomplete, and now we're down to 4 seconds to go. And the field goal team will come aboard.
And that's a ball Lewis should have caught. The ball hit him in between the numbers. You've got to catch that football. The defender makes a play after the ball bounces off of his chest, but Lewis should have caught that ball. You can't let it get to your body. You've got to squeeze it with your hands.
Almost like an extra point here from 23 yards out. from the left hash. And the first half is over. 346 total yards for Sam Houston State on offense. Colgate gets the ball to start the second half. With a lot of work to be done. Tom Rinaldi's got a terrific feature on a former Rice running back and the only people that believed in him despite injury. We'll be getting to that shortly. So KC Keeler's team, having never trailed in the first half, now has a 17-point advantage at the break, 31-14. KC, your quarterback today, Briscoe, 20 of 28 for 225 and 3 touchdowns. How has he been so effective?
Yeah, he's playing great. He's got all those first-team reps early in the season. Played a lot of football. We practiced all season long with him getting first-team reps. So this is not like we're putting a backup in. We're putting another starter in. We just got to keep our offense on the field. They've done a great job of keeping our offense off the field, but we have to do a little bit better job on defense. We'll be fine.
Coach, they're running the ball pretty effectively against your defense. Is there anything that you see that you can do to slow down that running attack by Colgate?
Yeah, they're just very crafty in terms of, they'll change a gap on you. They're going to loop a tight end. They're going to make you adjust. We've not done as good a job as we need to on that. Can't give up the big double move late in the half. But, a couple things we need to do to kind of clean that up. Because we get back on the field, I think we can score some points.
KC, we appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Sam Houston State by 17, trying to force a rematch with Jacksonville State next weekend in Alabama. Welcome to halftime. Why was the Rice running back moved to tears in his final press conference as a player? Tom Rinaldi reports the story of Luke Turner.
Not in an end zone or on a sideline, not on a field or in a locker room. This is where Luke Turner's college football career ended, with a moment more memorable than any play he'd ever made.
I love this university. I love that man back there. And I'll do anything for him.
Everyone thinks if you're tough, you shouldn't cry, and I'm tough. I feel like I'm tough. If you have something to say it. And I did.
Luke Turner grew up under the Friday night lights of Gilmer, Texas, 2 hours east of Dallas. Moving from linebacker to receiver to quarterback, Luke was a star at Gilmer by the time he was a senior. Rice University in Houston was among the first to take notice.
He scored 80-something touchdowns in high school. He's absolutely amazing. His passion for the sport just jumped off at you. You saw this young man that just loved football.
Luke drew interest from more than a dozen Division I schools, including several in the Big 12, until one play midway through senior year.
We were going for 2 to go up in the game, and I did like a little jump pass and broke my leg, broke my ankle.
Luke worried his dreams of college football were over. A single tackle couldn't break the pledge Rice would make.
The next day, I got a call from Coach Bailiff, and he said, "Don't worry about it. We'll be waiting for you." So that that meant a lot to me, knowing that someone just didn't give up on me.
Rice University, they were right there.
And everyone else?
There wasn't anybody else.
In 4 seasons, Turner ran for 13 touchdowns, threw for 5, and caught 3.
Here's Turner, and he's going to pass it downfield, and 35-yard touchdown pass from Luke Turner.
He helped the Owls win a conference championship and go to 3 straight bowl games. And after his final game, a Rice win over Charlotte, he was asked to address a small group of reporters.
First off, I just want to say thanks to Coach Bailiff, because that man right there gave me a chance when no one else wanted to give me a chance. Everyone sold me off, and that man right there stuck with me.
It felt like a win. It was just that gripping of a moment in my life to watch Luke say those words.
I mean, there's plenty of other guys in the United States that could play football. I mean, why? Why stay with me?
He came and gave me a hug, and I'll remember that moment forever, because that's why you do this. The love of the game and the love of each other it consumes you.
Not counting Rice staff, just 5 people were in the room to hear what Luke said. 3 days later, nearly 750,000 had seen it. Not watching a Heisman contender or future first rounder, a highlight catch or game-saving tackle, but a player giving an answer. 72 seconds of thanks for a lifetime of memories.
That's winning. What you build between men in the sport, that's something that's eternal and is profound.
Welcome back. The NCAA FCS Football Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. Right now in this national quarterfinal game, it is all Sam Houston State. 31-14, and for us as we look back in the first half, should we be surprised at what we're seeing?
Well, I'm a little bit surprised that Colgate did not run the ball more. They got into the game early. They got a good first rush, but then they went to their passing game. When they got to running the football, it allowed them to use the play-action pass and allowed them to get the ball down the field. I think they need to do that more. The defense was able to get stops, and that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to keep the ball. You're going to have to keep the Sam Houston offense off the field.
Let's take a look at the bracket so far, and the winner last night in Jacksonville State put 58 on the board before a raucous crowd in Jacksonville, Alabama. Troy Pope, Eli Jenkins combined for over 400 yards on the ground. If this game holds here in Sam Houston territory, the Bearcats will have a rematch with J-State next week. On the other side of the brackets, 10-7 to score at halftime. Northern Iowa over North Dakota State, which has won 4 consecutive championships. The Spiders of Richmond await beating Brock Spack of Illinois State last night 39-27. This is a matchup of unseeded teams here. We know that much for us, so not all the teams have stayed with chalk here. There have been some surprises so far.
Well, you talk about seeding. It's all about playing the football game. You play to win the game. The seeds do not dictate who's going to win the game on any given Friday or Saturday afternoon. And that's what I love about playoff football. Everybody has a chance when the first ball is kicked off.
Now, 5 teams were selected from the Missouri Valley, and of course, Northern Iowa still very much alive, leading its game again against North Dakota State, 10-7. We'll continue with halftime and look back at the first half in a moment. Back to business here at halftime. Again, our score 31-14. Jim Barber with Forrest Conley, who starred and won a national championship at Florida State. You've been paying attention. You know my man has been saying Colgate must run the football. But how much longer can you run it when you're down 17?
Well, I think this first series will determine everything. If they can run the football, get a score, they're only down by 10 points. If they don't get a score in this first series and Sam Houston is able to put more points on the board, they're going to be forced to throw the football, which will allow Sam Houston to pin their ears back, and we will see a lot of P.J. Hall in the second half.
Yep, Bearcats offense led by Corey Avery, and many others in the first half struck first. This is Avery on a 1-yard run, capping a 9-play, 75-yard drive, 7-0 Bearcats. Then Davion Davis, number 14, out on the edge, makes a couple of people miss, and he's on his way to a score of 26 yards, 14-0. Colgate's first touchdown scored by James Holland, his 16th rushing touchdown of the year, 14-7, early second quarter. Back come the Cats. It's Jediah Lewis from Jeremiah Briscoe. And Jediah, scoring this one from 8 yards out, makes it 21-7. Then it's Ladarius Brown. He was a popular receiver early in this game. A little pump fake from the quarterback, good for 18 yards and a 28-7 lead. Colgate cut into the lead, 28-14. Alex Greenewald beat the defender on the pass from Jake Melville. Within 14 at that point, but Trey Honstein from 23 yards out caps the first half scoring, and we are at 31-14 as we get set for the start of the second half. Will it be Cinderella in Colgate advancing to Alabama, or Jacksonville State and Sam Houston State have a rematch The question will be answered in the next 60 minutes. Dan Hunt is the head coach of Colgate. Nice enough to join us before the start of the second half. Dan, in the first half, 346 total passing and rushing for Sam Houston State. How do you slow them down?
Well, I think the first thing we need to do, I just told the defense, is they're not playing with the same passion, with the same energy they played for the last 8 weeks. I just told them to cut loose, and we got to run the ball a little bit better. I think first down's really key for us. We haven't really been able to get them in anything second and long. You know, they've had pretty manageable second down, third down situations. So, you know, we just talked about winning first down.
Well, Coach, you've been able to run the ball very effectively against this defense. Is that something you're going to continue to do in the second half, although you're down by 17 points right now?
I think a lot of it depends on how the third quarter goes. If we can, you know, we get the ball first here. I think if we can get some points out of this, we're going to continue with our game plan that we had. But if we got to, you know, if we got to pick it up, we certainly will. I just, you know, our offense is going to work best when we can run the ball. We got to keep it within striking distance. And, you know, I think when we do throw the ball, we got to be a little bit more efficient at it. I think that's really what's hurt us is we've gotten behind ourselves on first and second down. We've tried to throw it. But right now the plan is not going to change. We just got to be the next team to score.
Dan, quickly, any injury updates for your team at this point?
A couple kids are banged up, but I think you'll see everyone. You know, we got guys in there we're getting iced and taped, but nobody wanted to come out. So, you know, I think the only one probably is John Wilkins, the running back. I don't know if he'll be back. But other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape.
We do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Dan Hunt joining us here at the break. Colgate, as he mentioned, gets the football first. And there's a good look at 24 Wilkins, who has gone through some injury problems this year. He's actually their fourth quarterback, if necessary. Of course, Melville has started and will continue. And let's review the first half statistics. Again, 346 total for Sam Houston State, on its way to almost a 700-yard day. Run 45 plays the Bearcats have to 38. Rushing numbers even. The passing game has been the difference. And on third down, Sam Houston State, as good as it always is, 4 of 5. Well, Colgate's winning the time of possession, but that's a number that doesn't mean much, at least not right now.
And what was interesting about those stats, Colgate 3 of 3 on fourth down. So they've been successful going for it on fourth down. It's just that Sam Houston State passing game has been very effective. They've got to find a way to slow down this passing game and not allow Briscoe to beat them up.
Holstein kicking off. None of these kicks have been returnable, and so that follows form as Colgate will start from its own 25-yard line. You mentioned the rushing game. Colgate 25 carries for 129. They're on pace for 250 today, which has won them a lot of games during the course of a season.
Well, that's their identity, and they have to stick to it. You've got an opportunity right now. If you can settle your team down in the third quarter, run the football, get a score on the board. Now you're down 10 points. And along the way, use up clock. Put pressure on the Sam Houston offense that wants to continue to get plays run.
First offensive play of the second half. Sam Houston State perfect at home, 9-0. And Russell, a pickup of 1. We talked so much about Sam Houston's offense, but Bearcats defense with a number of 3-and-outs this year, and takeaways, and sacks, and 5 block kicks from B.J. Hall deserve some love too.
Yeah, they definitely do. And when you face this defense, you've got to use their speed against them. One thing I noticed, the Sam Houston defensive ends are crashing down on the read option play. And that's when Melville has been able to keep the ball and get to the outside.
That's a loss of 2 on the play. It'll be 3rd and 11. Nothing available for John Mataluna on the end around.
And you see number 27, Pierce, come in and stick his head in there and make the ball carrier remember, you come around this edge, I'm going to be there waiting on you.
He is a senior backer from Jonesboro, Georgia. Must get the football to the 35 on the opening possession of the second half. Let's see how many people the Bearcats bring. They're showing blitz. They're coming with a blitz, bringing 6. And not a good start to the second half for Colgate's offense, 3 and out.
And what I did not like about those set of plays, they tried to get east and west as opposed to north and south. to get around the edge on this Sam Houston defense is going to be very difficult because they have speed on the outside. I think you've got to try and gas them down the middle of the defense, get your backs going north and south initially, not east and west, and trying to plant their foot and go north and south.
Last time on the punt, P.J. Hall got a block. Jedediah Lewis from the 36. Makes one man miss and sneaks up to the 43. Makes even the 7-yard return look exciting. So while school is out, commencement taking place yesterday and today, the students are gone. Still a lot of enthusiasm on campus, and will there be a short turnaround for the Bearcats and a trip back to Jacksonville, Alabama, and the semifinals of the FCS championship. Bearcats have had 8 consecutive games with running back over 100. Jedediah Lewis in motion, gets the screen pass, on the move, into the secondary, it's a race. They hit him in stride, and he did the rest.
And what they're doing, they're moving their playmakers around, allowing them to see and recognize what the coverages are, and he gets the ball out. And Lewis does a good job of getting down and catching a low pass and then getting north and south. Like you said, he gets the ball on the run and is able to get positive yards.
Longest pass reception of the day for Sam Houston State of 40. Back to Corey Avery carrying the football. Avery, that downhill style of runner. As you look at Lewis, now over 100 yards for the game. Back to Avery again, trying to find some of the big people up front to make his move. He's able to do so, and enough for a first down. It'll be 1st and goal.
And the linebacker, Kyle Diner, had an opportunity to make a play in the backfield. That's when you've got to make plays. Then you put them in 3rd and long. But because he did not make that play, they get the first down.
Few missed tackles, and Sam Houston State now in the red zone inside the 10. Faking the option. Briscoe. Incomplete. This play didn't develop like he had hoped it to.
And that was actually a good job by Briscoe throwing the ball behind the receiver, because if he throws it to lead the receiver, the defensive back, Chris Morgan for Colgate, is standing there waiting to get an easy pick 6.
Back up today is Jared Johnson, as he has suffered through some injuries. So Jeremiah Briscoe, the other starting quarterback for Sam Houston State, getting the nod. And on that play, it was not ruled an incompleted pass. It was a lateral because the ball was behind the line of scrimmage, so that's a loss of 4. 2nd and 12. Straight across the middle, incomplete. Had 2 receivers actually in the end zone. Unable to find either.
Well, they went with the pump fake to Jalen Overstreet out in the flat, and he wanted to hit his tight end coming across on a shallow cross, but because he put too much air under the football, the tight end did not have a play on it.
And Forrest Colgate trying to get a victory here by limiting them to a field goal try. Four receiver set. Avery back to block, but they could release him as a pass receiver. Snap to Briscoe. Here comes pressure on the slant. Ball caught to the 4-yard line. Brings us to 4th and goal off the catch by Gerald Thomas.
And if you're the defense, that's what you want to do. You give them enough, but you stay behind the receiver. You do not allow them to get across the goal line. Giving up 3 points is actually a victory for the defense, the way this whole series has been going.
Yes, 23 Ty McCollum in on the stop. Holstein had one from 23 earlier. This is from 21. And Holstein, the freshman from Georgetown, now 8 of 13 on the season. He's nailed a couple today. 34-14 Cats. 4 minutes into the second half. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Rain has started to fall here at the stadium. as originally forecasted for roughly 1 o'clock Central Time. This game was moved from 7 in the evening to 11 in the morning due to the threat of severe weather. Conversations began from the NCAA mid this week, and some more severe or extreme weather is anticipated later tonight and tomorrow, potentially. So Colgate gives up a field goal, did not score on its opening drive to start the second half in a 3-touchdown hole. This time they're going to bring it back. And a good return by Mataluna across the 30-yard line.
Now Colgate can still run the football because there's still a lot of time left. They're 3 scores down, but they've got to get a score on this drive. They cannot come away from this drive without a score, and that score needs to be a touchdown. I don't think a field goal will be enough. You get a field goal right here, you're still down 3 scores.
Well, as they attempted to bring it out and did so effectively, this is the best field position, Forrest, for Colgate on a drive. Patriot versus the Southland this week. You're from Huntsville, Texas. Zone replay on first down to the 35. Demetrius Russell carrying the football. They may be with just 2 running backs in the second half due to an injury to John Wilkins. James Holland is the other effective back who already has a touchdown in this game.
And you see the defensive ends for Sam Houston State continuing to crash down on that read option. I look for Melville to pull the ball out of the back's belly and get around the edge.
Yeah, I think we were talking to Mike Collins, defensive coordinator, earlier in the week, and you mentioned you're going to put 8 in the box. He says that's what we do. And you're especially going to do that against a team that tries to run the football and run it often.
Well, he's very comfortable with his coverage on the outside, and when you've got guys that can cover on the outside, it allows you to be more dynamic defensively and bring a plethora of different blitzes and make the offense think. You want to make the offensive lineman think, and that's when you get pressure on the quarterback.
See what Chris Young dials up here. On third down over the middle, and the ball is dropped. It was intended for tight end John Quazza, and that'll bring him to 4th and 4. There will be no risk taken here unless there's a fake.
And that was a good job by the free safety, Alfonso McMillan, to get in there and get his hands in there and pull the ball out, not allow the tight end Quazza to make that reception.
McMillan was the beneficiary last week of a P.J. Hall block on an extra point, as he scooped it up and returned it for 2 points. Turnaround of 3 on the play, and the decision maker in the game. Thomas backpedaling, fair catch at the 22. Time to step aside, 9:35, quarter number 3. The FCS semifinals are next weekend on ESPN2 and ESPNU. And for more information, go to NCAA.com. That's the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Sam Houston State on offense. That one got away.
And right now, Colgate is entering the danger zone. If Sam Houston State can get another score on the board, Colgate will be forced to throw the ball the rest of this ball game.
Well, we said it's starting to rain, and looks like Jeremiah Briscoe could never get a handle on that pass. One of the few incomplete passes he's had today.
Play is under further review.
And I wonder, was that a fumble? I don't know if that was actually a pass. It looked like the ball slipped out of his hands when he was coming back with it as opposed to his hand and arm moving forward.
Tom Frazier in the replay booth will have a look. So the first time up to the booth today, and here's from the end zone angle.
It looks like the back hit the football as Briscoe was bringing the ball back. It looks like it hit Jalen Overstreet.
Now, Jalen Overstreet did recover the ball, So it will definitely stay in the hands of the Bearcats. Question is, will we restart the clock?
Yeah, I think that may be a fumble. It looked like it hit Overstreet's elbow as he was coming by when Briscoe was bringing the ball back.
You know, Kyle Diener, the inside linebacker, was in position for that too.
And how big of a play could that have been for Colgate?
Yeah. These two teams typically play error-free football.
Watch the elbow of Overstreet. See it hit the ball before Briscoe's able to get going with that forward motion. I think that's what the officials are looking at. And it looks like it's going to be a fumble just because of the elbow hitting the ball and Briscoe's arm not going forward.
This is Bruce Bondi, our referee. Dave Steyerman, the umpire. Noel Kuhlbeck, the head linesman. Justin Robinson, the lineman. Matt Binford, side judge.
After review, it was a fumble recovered by the offense. The ball will be placed on the 27-yard line. Please put 9:29 on the game clock, and it will start on my whine.
Well, that's how they draw it up. That's a pickup of 6. Think they practiced that?
And you think about it, that actually helped Sam Houston State because it would have been 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
But because it's deemed a fumble, you get a couple of yards out of the play. Talk about everything going right for an offense.
Yeah. They're going to need to spot the football again. Right now it's at the – okay, they're going to spot the 24, actually, so there isn't that large of a gain. It'll be 2nd and 9. Now we're ready. Other two officials today, field judge Todd Mitchellbrink and Chris Swan. Now the Colgate defense, do you think it's going to start taking some chances, needing to get football back?
Well, I think Sam Houston's going to run the football right now and try and run some clock themselves. They feel confident about their offense being able to score the football. And you see, they're not really in a rush right now to get plays. They're taking their time. They're looking over at the sideline. They're getting the calls from their coaching staff, and they're getting the plays in. So they're not in a rush right now.
Little pitch to the outside. First down. Needed to get 4 and picked up 6. And Ladarius Brown with yet another reception. He's got 5 today. He's the second leading pass catcher for Sam Houston State. Well, Colgate used a lot of clock in the first half, but that's not what Sam Houston State does. Asking them to snap the ball under 10 seconds would be that'd be a shock to the system, wouldn't it?
Well, you've got to be able to adapt, and you're going to be in some ball games where you're not able to do what you want to do offensively, so you have to be able to adapt. But right now, they've been able to kind of do and dictate what they do offensively, and I think right now they want to run clock. They know they can get positive yards. And that pass to the outside to Brown will be there all day. If you watch the defensive back, he's playing way off of Brown because of his size. He doesn't want Brown to get on top of him. So that pass is going to be available all afternoon.
How about the DB starting to take some chances and come up a little bit closer?
But when you do that, now you set yourself up for the pump and go.
Corey Avery gets the football straight ahead. Great downhill runner. Carries the ball to the 43 and a pickup of 11.
And watch the offensive line. You see these guys, they get contact now. See the lineman get to the second level. You see right there, good job by the offensive lineman, Bridge Blunt, to get to the second level and block the linebacker and allow him to get positive yards.
And back to the perimeter they go. Avery, by the way, today 16 carries for 118. And Jalen Overstreet starting to get into the activity. Texas transfer. Played some quarterback over there. Football now at the 32, halfway mark of the third quarter. Play action, Briscoe looking to the end zone. Has he got a receiver? Yes! touchdown. From the high end zone, let's take a look at the 32-yard score to Gerald Thomas.
And the cornerback, number 23, Ty McCullum, never turned around to locate the football. He's playing through the defender. Good job by Thomas finding the football. A bit of a push-off, but the officials are not going to make that call because the defender never turned around to locate the football. Easy touchdown for Sam Houston State.
Bearcats now with the biggest lead of the game at 41-14. I think back to that opening drive by Colgate and its inability to move the ball and went 3 and out. Sam Houston has capitalized since then and now is up by 4 touchdowns. A 97-yard kickoff return for touchdown has put the Bison of North Dakota State ahead of Northern Iowa 14-10 early third quarter. So reports of the demise of the dynasty greatly exaggerated at this point. 4-time in a row defending champions. They'll take on the Richmond Spiders, which took care of Illinois State last night 39-27. It'll be one semifinal. Couple of good kickoff returns. Helmet comes off, and Mataluna will have to come out of the game for a play.
2 helmets came off.
Yeah. These kickoffs are getting exciting. There was Bridge Blount. Check that Kevin Jackson, whose helmet came off.
And if you're Sam Houston State, at what point do you start to pull your starters? I know it's still a ball game. We're still in the middle of the third quarter, but you've got a 27-point lead. Your defense is doing a good job of stopping what Colgate is trying to do, throwing the ball all over the field. It's not Colgate's game plan, not what they want to do. It's what they're going to be forced to do now to try and play catch-up. But if you're Sam Houston State, now you have to look at starting to rest your guys and getting ready for that Jacksonville State ball club that is anxious for the rematch.
Oh, yeah. Shooting one deep on first down. Back defending Trey Orr. It's co-defensive coordinators for Sam Houston State, Mike Collins and Brad Sherrod. And that rematch, I would imagine if you're Jacksonville State and you're watching today on E3, you're saying to yourself, we want Sam Houston State again.
Well, I covered that game last year, and I saw what it did to Jacksonville State. They came into that game undefeated with high hopes of playing for a national championship, and they got hit in the mouth by Sam Houston Ball Club that was ready to play. So I think those guys are looking forward to the opportunity and to the challenge of stopping this offense. You have 2 high-powered offenses coming into that ball game, and I know we're speaking ahead of ourselves, but it kind of looks like Sam Houston State's going to win this ball game. But once again, you've got to be prepared to play against a team that's been there, and I think Jacksonville State now, with what happened last year, understands what playoff football is about, and they'll be better prepared this time around.
Yeah, I think you're right. That was a pickup of 10, by the way, for quarterback Melville to the 40-yard line. Melville came into this game at an even 1,000 yards rushing, and one of the few penalties we've had in this game on a false start comes against Colgate from the Patriot League.
False start, offense, number 29, 5-yard penalty, first down.
By the way, we were watching from a distance last night the game on ESPN2 at Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks and their fans, that place was wild. 22,000 and change under the lights, and it was electric.
Will definitely be rocking this upcoming weekend with whoever they play.
Yeah, it'll either be a Friday night game or Saturday afternoon, either ESPN2 or ESPNU. Collins straight ahead. Carrying the football up to the 44-yard line and pick up a 9. Well, it's very possible that Colgate will reach 200 yards and then some today running the football, but they have run into an offense that has scored on 7 of its 8 possessions.
And Colgate has to continue to run the football. You don't want to try and give the ball back to Sam Houston State. You want to kind of try and stay in this ball game. You're going to pass the ball, but you've got to run it continually as well to keep this defense honest.
Mataluna had to come out of the game after the kickoff return. Not only gets the catch and run to the 39, it'll be 15 yards tacked on to the end of the play. So it's good for 32 total.
And this is something that you cannot do if you're Sam Houston State. You can't give away extra yards. You see him going out of bounds. You cannot do that if you're Sam Houston State.
After the play,
McMillan has to stay away from that.
Late hit out of the bounds, number 10 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
The sophomore free safety from Oklahoma City, Afonso McMillan's played a pretty good game today.
And you hear the crowd booing, but it's the correct call. The player was out of bounds already. McMillan took an extra shot on him. You can't do that. You don't want to give any confidence to this Colgate ball club. The game isn't over. It's a long way for them to go to catch back up 27 points, but you don't want to give them any confidence.
Now the drive has reached the 23 on the outskirts of the red zone.
The only thing that hurts this Colgate ball club is they've been most effective running the ball, but when you run the ball, the clock continues to run, and you're not able to get out of bounds and stop that clock and let you get around the edge. And that's something that they have not been able to do this afternoon because of the speed of the Sam Houston defense. They've been able to gash them in the middle of that defense, but to the outside, they've not been able to get any positive yards.
You still have 20 minutes of playing time left, and I would think you'd go without a huddle, try to run as many plays as you can and get as many possessions as you can before this game ends. At the 17-yard line, here comes pressure off the edge for Sam Houston State. Melville will throw. Now Melville will run. And Melville will be sacked. I think we've seen 92 before. That's P.J. Hall with his 9th sack of the season.
And what was interesting about that play, he was standing up from a defensive end position, but then he faded to the middle of the field and he spied Melville on that play. And we talked to the coaching staff from Sam Houston to see if that's something that they would do. I thought they would do it with the linebacker, but you see the versatility of Hall to go from the defensive end position and run to the middle of the field and spy the quarterback and make a play.
And Hall is 280, Melville just 195. Got thrown to the turf like a rag doll. 3rd and 8. Pressure, Melville, little screen pass. That's not going anywhere. Hall was in pursuit, but he's not the man that had to make the tackle on the play. Instead, he got plenty of help from 22, Tristan Etch.
And you see, they knew it was a screen play all the way. Good job by Eshe to get over there and make a play, not allow the back to get north and south. By the time the ball got there, he was there to meet him.
Well, your kicking game is not a strength of this team, so you are forced to go for it, and you got to pick up 13 yards.
When you're down 27, you better go for it. 3 points is not going to help.
Must get the football to the 13 here on 4th down. Pressure off the edge. Melville reversing field. Throwing toward the end zone. That ball incomplete. Nearly caught in the end zone. Mataluna was back there, and so was tight end Quazza. It was defended well enough. Contreras was there, and on down, Sam Houston State gets the ball back.
And I tell you what, if Contreras doesn't get his hand up in there and knock that ball loose, we may be talking about a great touchdown throw by Melville. You see right here, he gets the ball up in the air where Quazza, the big tight end, can make a play on it, but Contreras did a very good job of getting his hand in there and knocking that ball loose before Quazza could come down with it.
And these savvy fans, recognizing how well the defense played that series, gave their team a rousing ovation when it came off. So under 3 minutes to go now, 3rd quarter, and Sam Houston State can run clock.
Corey Avery on the carry.
Corey Avery has been busy today. His 18th carry for 131. Avery on the season now rushing for over 1,300 yards and 15 running touchdowns. Briscoe's going to go play action. Got a receiver, but the ball is nowhere near. 17, Grant Finney, the sophomore from Allen, who has 16 catches on the year.
And let's see what Briscoe's reaction is, because he knows if he waits a tad bit longer, he missed one on this play.
You think Finney got held up at all?
Yeah, but, and Briscoe's looking for the play call, but they're not going to call that. When you look at that play, I think if he waits a tad bit longer, he sees where his receiver is turning, and he'll be able to put a little bit more air under the football and allow him to make a play on it.
Sam Houston State is 5 for 7 on third down. Make it 6 for 8.
And one thing you have to be aware of, Jim, quarterbacks never take responsibility.
They don't.
For the play. It's always the other guy's fault. When you give up a sack, because it's a coverage sack, as a lineman, it's your fault. You should have blocked him longer.
What position did you play at Florida State?
Exactly.
This goes back many years, but when the Marx brothers played for Miami and Dan Marino in the National Football League, Marino said that every play the receivers swore they were open.
Exactly.
And Clayton wanted to know why Duper was making a catch when he should have been making it, and it goes on and on. Competitors are like that. Looking more and more like a rematch next weekend in Jacksonville, Alabama. Will that town be excited for another round between these two?
When you lose a ball game and your season is ended, you always think back of what I could have done differently to have that outcome be different, and they're going to get a chance to right that ship. You'll have two teams that are playing, one team that knows that they can win and another team that feels like they should have won. And so it'll be an interesting matchup, and what'll be interesting as well is we haven't seen Jarrett Johnson this entire afternoon. He's more of a dual threat for the Sam Houston Ball Club. He's able to get a little bit more healthy, and they'll go into that ball game with two healthy quarterbacks, a quarterback that's a little bit more versatile at running the football as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Jacksonville State prepares to play that ball game against the Sam Houston State Ball Club.
That's a good point. Those two guys combined have just 6 turnovers on the season.
And in that ball game last year, Jalen Overstreet played a bigger role running the football. But now you've got Avery. Of course, Overstreet, you've got Ridgeway Frank. And I like all these receivers on the outside, the way that they're spreading the ball around. So you can't just key on one player for Sam Houston State. And not to talk about that two-headed monster over at Jacksonville State. You saw it last night.
Oh, man.
Those guys, they're going to bring it. So it should be an interesting ball game.
Eli Jenkins, the preacher's son. Dad wanted to name him Elijah. Mom wanted to name him Denzel. And they settled on Eli. Briscoe flushed out. Got to throw it away. And we have a second remaining in the third quarter.
Quarterback was outside the tackle box, and the ball crossed the line of scrimmage. Therefore, there's no intentional grounding.
I like the way the officials explain that to our audience. Weather is starting to move into Huntsville, Texas. And we are set to move out of the third quarter. After 3, it is Sam Houston State 41, Colgate 14. And Sam Houston now on the verge of heading back to Alabama for the national semifinals next weekend. Jarrett Johnson, the man they say has the real gun as the quarterback, the other quarterback for Sam Houston State, not in uniform today, healing up, and hopefully will be ready for either Friday night or Saturday in Jacksonville, Alabama. Well, it is a slow-moving front, but it looks pretty ominous. Just light rain so far.
Yes, it doesn't look good.
And that was the major reason, in light of what could happen later tonight or tomorrow, that the NCAA, the two coaches, and ESPN huddled during the week and moved the game up 8 hours. This quarter begins on 4th and 2. And it will go over on downs to Colgate on the incompleted pass to Corey Avery.
That was a good job by the defensive end, Charles Carney, getting out and getting the hand up and blocking that pass and not allowing them to get a completion.
North Dakota State has missed a 52-yard field goal attempt, still protecting a 4-point lead early fourth quarter over Northern Iowa, 14-10. Richmond, the other side of the bracket, awaits the Bison, which has won 4 consecutive championships and trying to win a 5th in a row without its head coach, which has moved on to the University of Wyoming for his first year, the FBS. You think about small college coaches that have achieved maximum success for us, the national scene. Of course, Jim Tressel comes to mind. And Casey Keeler, who is the head coach of Sam Houston State, his name actually popped up on the radar for the Michigan job several years ago, a job that Rich Rodriguez took. Casey was saying in his office yesterday, if I'm going to make a move from here, and I love this place and my administration, President Hoyt, A.D. Williams, broken up line of scrimmage. Yeah, that's P.J. Hall again. Casey Keeler saying, if I'm going to leave here, it's going to have to be a big-time situation because I love it here. And his resume also includes a national championship as a coach and a national championship at Delaware as a player. Now, he was fired a few years ago by Delaware, much to his shock, but he has recovered here at Sam Houston State. And he's a quarter away from the semifinals.
Well, I think he loves it here at Sam Houston State. He likes what he's building. He's building a program, a successful program. You know, Coach Fritz had some success here, but he didn't get that championship. And I think that's what Keeler wants to bring to this program, that championship.
I wonder if Hall got his mitts on that one. It looked like it was tipped in the backfield.
And for the life of me, I don't understand why Colgate continues to try and block him with one player. He was unblocked on that play, but throughout this ball game, they've had one player try and block him. You knew coming into this game how disruptive he could be. I thought we would see H-backs chipping him, tight ends chipping him, double teams, beat him up a little bit as the game began to let him know he was not going to be able to have free reign. But they didn't do that, and he's been able to be disruptive all afternoon.
Thomas won't take a chance there, and the ball over his head sails another 15 yards to the 7-yard line. We'll talk a little bit more about that subject that you mentioned moments ago when we come back. Jim Barber and Forrest Connolly won a championship at Florida State under the great Bobby Bowden. So you have all the inside scoop on these things. Is Mr. Fisher staying around at Florida State?
Yeah, I think he definitely is. You've got a recruiting base in Florida. He's been very successful. He's done something that Coach Bowden couldn't do, which is go 2 consecutive seasons of undefeated football during the regular season. He won a national championship, and I think what's different about Jimbo as compared to other coaches that follow behind legendary coaches, he was able to come in and win immediately.
Yeah.
It's very difficult when you come behind a legend like a Paterno, like a Bowden, like a Frank Beamer, those guys that have been there for over 20 years and built a foundation at these schools.
Carry up to the 28-yard line by Corey Avery. There might be a penalty marker on the play. We'll wait and see.
But look at the tough running. You see all the broken tackles by Avery. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's carrying defenders down the field. He refuses to go down. I love that about him. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's one of the toughest runners I've seen.
Check it, no marker on the play. It's Avery again, and he's loose into that second line of defense. And sliding like a shortstop into home plate up near the 50. A carry of 25 yards. He's shade shy of 200 for the day.
And you see an attrition starting to set in. You see a tired defense They're trying to arm tackle. They're trying to run after and catch these guys, and they've got fresh legs. They come at you from so many different ways with so many different backs. And just when you think you've got them stopped, they throw the ball to one of these dynamic receivers on the outside in the open field and allow them to make plays. And then they're coming play after play after play after play.
Total yardage now for the game, 570. The other running back, Jalen Overstreet, leaning forward and close to the chains. The Bearcats will have a short turnaround. One less day to prep for next week's semifinal. I don't think that'll matter. Too big of a game.
They'll be ready to go.
And they will be playing away from Huntsville, Texas, in what should be a very lively atmosphere. So how much longer, does Casey Keeler continue to go with a starting quarterback?
Well, once again, another bright spot for this defense for Colgate. Not too many, but they've been able to tip some of these passes that Briscoe's tried to get to the outside.
8 minutes to go in Fargo. North Dakota State hanging on over Northern Iowa 14-10. As we decide two semifinalists today. Play action, across the middle to the 25-yard line. LaDarius Brown catches 16. Another Sam Houston State first down.
And you see the cornerback Tyler Castillo trying to play against the big Puma. He can't get behind him. He can't get in front of him to stop him from catching that pass. And that's that size. When you're that big, like LaDarius Brown at 6'2", 220 pounds, and you get yourself in between the defender and the football, it's hard for them to go through you to make the play. They're going to have to continue to use his size and use him in the middle of the field when they're using those athletes on the outside.
6'2", 215. And a high-energy guy to boot. To the end zone. Touchdown! Some of that size being used right there by LaDarius Brown.
Well, when you've got a 6'2" receiver that can jump, and he's playing against a 5'7" strong safety, come on, that's just not fair. You're talking about 7 inches.
And yet it's football, right?
That's very unfair. And they do it on a trick play. I mean, come on. You got a 27-point lead. 616 yards of total offense. What a day.
All right, folks, get ready for the rematch. Great throw by Jalen Overstreet to LaDarius Brown. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. All right, Forrest, we saw a gadget play moments ago. The team was ahead by 27. The game is salted away. Salt into the wound here, perhaps a little bit?
Absolutely. Rubbing it in just a tad bit on that play. I understand if you just go vertical, but to run a trick play, pitch to the back and let him go around the edge and then throw the touchdown, that's a bit much. But, hey, me personally, if I'm a coaching staff, I want to save that play for when I need it, possibly next week against a tougher opponent.
I assume you're trying to give Jacksonville State a little heads up when you run that play as well. Just the second returnable kick. Make that the third of the day for Colgate, which will start around its own 20-yard line. By the way, Jacksonville State became the first Ohio Valley Conference team to reach the semis since 1991. And we got 250 yards on the ground from Troy Maine Pope, who had touchdown carries of 76, 44, and 54 last night in that 20-point win over Charleston Southern.
And what's interesting about that matchup that looks like it's going to occur, Eli Jenkins, who had a big game last night, had 2 interceptions in the ball game last year against Sam Houston State. So I'm sure he wants to right that wrong as well.
Well, let's show you a little P.J. Hall.
Well, he makes tackles, he blocks kicks, he pressures the quarterbacks. He's all over the field. Every kind of defensive play that you can make, he's made this afternoon. Whether it be tapping balls, making catches difficult, making it very difficult, you've got to contain him if you want to beat this ball club.
His afternoon is over. 5 block kicks now in the season for Hall. We mentioned next weekend's game in Jacksonville, Alabama. Ed Lett is the Associate AD of External Affairs for JSU, and he was chatting with me late last night about the atmosphere that the winner of this game will face next week, and that'll be a factor besides the travel for Sam Houston State.
But I'll tell you what, I don't think Sam Houston State will be overwhelmed. They've played in many big ball games. They played for the championship a couple of times. They've played in hostile environments. And I think they relish the opportunity to go into an opponent's, den and play big and try and win a ball game.
The pass got deflected and eventually caught by Holland. The spot will be short of the first down, almost was picked off. James Holland instead gets a reception.
And you see the tip drill right here. Melville is forced outside of the pocket. He throws the ball. It gets tipped right at the line of scrimmage. A couple of Sam Houston State players have an opportunity to make a play on the football, but they're able to get the positive reception and positive yards from James Holland.
Looking more and more like North Dakota State will be one of the semifinalists. Bison have put on an insurance touchdown, now leading 21-10 as Frazier scores from 4 yards out. So we are looking at this point anyway of Richmond, North Dakota State, and Jacksonville State and Sam Houston State next weekend. Join us next weekend on ESPN2 and ESPNU for the FCS semifinals. For more information, log on to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. It's backup player time as Don King is in the game now for Jeremiah Briscoe. And Ridgeway Frank to the outside, and his official down back at the 20-yard line. That's the umpire, Dave Steyerman. Hope he's okay.
I'll tell you what, you've got to get out the way out there. These guys are flying around the football. And you see the official kind of get knocked over. I'm glad that he's up and okay.
Might have got tagged by Grant Finney, the wide receiver. Or maybe just the feet got tangled. But what's the Time Warner cliche we use there? He's a gamer. Officials have to be tough. Don King is a junior from Dallas, Texas. Getting some valuable playing time with 9 1/4 remaining. Going to run a little option here.
And I tell you
Frank,
what,
by the way, excuse me there, Forrest, he's a 6-year senior.
Well, I'll tell you what, this Colgate team shouldn't hold their heads down. They've had a great season. And, when you look at what they've accomplished, they weren't seeded as Sam Houston wasn't as well. And they've been able to go and beat some quality ball clubs to get to this point. And, hats off to this program and their future, which I think is a very bright one.
Won the Patriot League, going undefeated. We'll finish the regular season 9-5. And Dan Hunt, the head coach, was telling us during the week when we were 0-3 and lost a tight one at home to Yale, I went into the locker room and I told our guys, we're going to figure this out. We're going to be okay. 8th conference title, Patriot League Coach of the Year. 12 players made the All-League team from either the first or second team. And some quality wins in tournament play at New Hampshire, at James Madison. ball is loose. Could have a turnover here. Nope. Raiders will keep it. And fortunately for them, Christian Hardigree came up with a loose ball, number 31. Still half of the fourth quarter to go. 48-14 our score. Forrest Connolly and Jim Barber set to wrap things up here in Huntsville, Texas, where Sam Houston State has been dominant today. 634 total yards and 36 first downs. So it's Casey Keeler's team, which along with the rest of the campus is done with school for the next few weeks, will concentrate on football and a trip to Jacksonville, Alabama. So let's look ahead at that game and what will be, in your opinion, the most significant items.
I think the team that's able to establish the run early will have an opportunity to win that ball game. You've got two ball clubs that can run the ball very well, two ball clubs that have very dynamic quarterbacks, Sam Houston State having two quarterbacks. It'll be interesting to see how healthy Jarrett Johnson is going into that ball game. You already know what Briscoe can bring to the table with his ability to pass the ball, 383 passing yards today. So you know what he can do. But I think with Jarrett Johnson, it brings a little bit more versatility to this Sam Houston offense because he can tuck it and run the football. He has 469 rushing yards this season. So when you have him and you have both he and Briscoe going, now you open up that playbook a lot more and you make that defense now have to adjust throughout the ball game.
Johnson in plain clothes today, recovering from injuries. He'll be on the plane flight, though, in just a matter of a few days. Got to be an exciting time to play deep into the playoffs. Of course, the FCS has had tournament play for a number of years, and the FBS has finally followed suit with a college football playoff.
Demetrius Russell on the carry.
Jared Johnson's numbers, almost 7,000 total yards, second best in school history. Casey Keeler was saying earlier in the week, ordinarily I dislike two quarterbacks. I mean, I do believe in that old phrase, if you have two starting quarterbacks, you really have none. But he said, not with these guys. They really complement each other. They had a series, I think, during practice where one helped the other be able to read coverage where it might have been picked off on a particular pass play. And afterwards, Keeler said, well, why did you do that? And the response was, well, you know, either he's going to beat me out or he's going to get better and make the play. And Keeler says, I like that. I like the teamwork.
Well, when you look at this ball club and what we've seen this afternoon, there's been a lot of unselfish play, a lot of blocking on the outside from the receivers, and a lot of times when you look at football games, if the ball is not coming to that particular receiver, he takes a play off. None of these guys have been taking plays off, and that is due to what Coach Keeler is bringing to this program. It's about teamwork and about winning as a unit. Everybody has a job to do on every single play. And if you don't do your job, you may be the person that does not allow that play to get positive yards. So you see that as a reflection of this coach and his coaching staff. That's why he's a national champion coach, because he knows how to get that team to play well together.
Won a title at Delaware, also won one as a player. Replaced Willie Fritz, who went on to Georgia Southern and just days ago was named the new head coach of Tulane. Northern Iowa has kicked a short field goal with 3.5 to go in the game at the Fargo Dome, trailing North Dakota State 21-13. The winner gets to join the Richmond Spiders in the other half of the bracket semifinals next week, either on ESPN2 or ESPNU. And for Dan Hunt, a long trip home to New York. They'll regroup for next season, where they should be pretty good because they can start with that guy, number 15, who still has a season left to play. Going to shoot one downfield, got a man. That would have gone for a touchdown, as it turns out. Goes for a very long reception. On the receiving end on a bullet. was number 87. That's Owen Rocket. What a great name for a wide receiver, huh?
And Andre Mosley reached up, and the ball is right out of his reach to try and knock that ball down, and a good adjustment by the receiver to get possession of that football.
Good for 44. So first down in the red zone, 4:20 remains.
Melville's pass goes incomplete.
And right now, this is a test of character. These are the games and the times that coaches go back and look at the film and see what the players are doing when they know that, what the conclusion of the game will be. So they're looking to see how their players respond and react.
You saw the update on the score. North Dakota State has the football and an 8-point lead. 3 minutes and change remain in the fourth quarter. Melville, quarterback keep, headed to the pylon. Did he get there? Touchdown.
Jake Melville, the ball carrier, for a Colgate touchdown.
Rushing touchdown from 13 yards out to bump the total to 20 by the junior quarterback out of Sparta, New Jersey.
And what has been the most successful play throughout this afternoon for Melville, the quarterback keeper on the read option. He gets to the outside because of that pressuring defense from Sam Houston State. He's able to get to the edge and get to the end zone.
Jonah Bowman for the extra point, where today he has been 3 of 3. That was a 9-play, 80-yard drive in a little under 4 minutes. So Melville's numbers on the day, 12 of 25 throwing, 13 carries for 73, and touchdowns both ways through the air and on the ground. Well, next year he'll have James Holland back as a junior, John Wilkins as a senior in the backfield, and his front line all secured except for the loss of senior left guard John Weber, which will be a significant loss. Wide receivers, Alex Greenewalt. He returns, caught a touchdown pass today. Connor Wigenroth is back. John Mataluna, targeted for many throws today, is returning. So the core of this group, particularly on offense, will return. This one booted deep, and a Sam Houston State return. And to the 35-yard line. Pretty good one. Scott, number 83, on the return. Tyler Scott is 5'9", 165 from Red Oak, and a sophomore. That's all Colgate needs to face is more speed here today. As if the Raiders haven't seen enough. So Don King back for his second possession to run the offense, replacing Jeremiah Briscoe. Well, you're going to have the number 2 and number 4 ranked offenses as of tonight, as of the numbers tonight, scoring off next week in Jacksonville.
Well, you've got a lot of dynamic players going into that ball game, and it's going to be interesting to see which players are able to stand out, what defenses are going to be able to stop which offense in that game. You talk about dynamic Eli Jenkins, Troy Pope. Then you come to this ball club, Jarrett Johnson, Jeremiah Briscoe, and the receivers on the outside.
Total yards between the two teams, well over 1,000. Right now, North Dakota State and Northern Iowa are winding down their game. They're late in the fourth quarter. The Bison continue to protect and 8-point lead of 21-13. You're talking about the things that Casey Keeler likes about this campus besides his president and his AD. He lives 6 minutes away from the stadium. He's got a golf course within his view. He's on a lake. Other than that, I can't think of anything that's very positive.
You got a pretty good ball club as well.
Yeah.
And you're in a talent-rich state of Texas where you don't have to leave the state to get recruits.
Plenty of weapons on this team. As Bowman carries for a first down, the backup's getting a chance to show their worth here.
And this is some good work for the offensive line. Too often, second and third teamers don't get a lot of live action, especially in playoff football. So this is good because you're always one ankle sprain away from being out there on the field and the team counting on you to produce.
That was Remus Ballmer's first carry of the game. Make that his third carry for 14 yards and a first down. He'll get the football again, trying to get to the outside. Back to our update between North Dakota State and Northern Iowa. Bison have tacked on a safety. It's a 10-point lead with 1:25 left. Richmond lies in wait. It's interesting. You're almost going to have two semifinals completely opposite of each other in terms of style of football.
And that sets up for an interesting national championship game.
Yeah, it does. A little confusion there. By the way, you were headed to the NAIA finals. There's a fumble on the play, and I believe the Raiders have recovered. So on the recovery, 53 for Colgate. Caleb fell on the football, and they'll get one offensive chance. You were headed to Daytona Beach for the finals of the NAIA, Southern Oregon and Marion out of Indianapolis.
And that should be a very interesting ball game. You see right here Don King holding the ball out. He's not used to carrying the football. As a quarterback, you don't want him running in between the tackles, and if you do, you got to tuck it high. But that NAIA National Championship game will be an interesting ball game. It'll be a rematch from last year. Southern Oregon versus Marion out of Indiana. So it will be a very interesting ball game, and that Marion Ball Club looks forward to the opportunity to try and beat that Southern Oregon team that beat them last year.
You were saying last night over dinner, just a slew of turnovers on the part of the Knights, which did them in early.
They had 8 turnovers, 6 interceptions by their quarterback, and he gets another opportunity to right that ship. So you talk about losing a big ball game and always saying, what could I have done better? They get the same chance that Jacksonville State will get next week when Sam Houston State visits them.
Only 1 turnover in our game, by the way. Less than a half-minute remaining. And a penalty flag, pass interference coming up on the throw to Mataluna. Brett Mooney is the backup quarterback in the game right now for Colgate.
And Anthony Johnson never turned around to locate the football. That's what we see often by these young defensive backs.
Defense, number 28. That's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
And if you notice, he's gotten pressure on him all afternoon. The quarterback has just not been able to sit back in that pocket and have time. Mooney did a good job of throwing the ball down the field, but once again, when the defensive back doesn't turn around and locate the football, it's going to be an easy call by the official.
Raiders trying to get one last score here. Mooney flushed out and brought down back at the 41, and a loss of 9. Cody Brooks, number 97, a sophomore defensive end. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will do it. Casey Keeler, Dan Hunt. 5-game winning streak, 11-1 after an 0-2 start. 10th consecutive win without a defeat at home in the playoffs. And And a great semifinal match looming next weekend, Forrest.
Well, it'll be interesting to see which offense can get going. Both of these offenses are very high-powered. You've got a Jacksonville State ball club that has been hungry for an opportunity to get back to the playoffs. They get there, and now they get the opportunity to right the wrong that occurred last season when Sam Houston State came in there and beat them, which was an upset.
By the way, enjoy Daytona Beach. The NCAA FCS Football Championship has been presented by Northwestern Mutual. So for Forrest Conley and our entire crew, I'm Jim Barber. So long from Bauer Stadium in Huntsville, Texas. Today, all Sam Houston State over Colgate, 48-21 in this national quarterfinal game. To watch this entire game on replay as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. Thanks for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN.